Well, hey, hello. This is Lucas. This would be episode 3, and I'm going to tell you a Uber story. Um, Brief background on me: I started driving for Uber. Well, I should say I drove for Uber. Uh, I guess it's been 5 years now. Yeah, 5 years ago. Did that for about a year and a half. Strictly at night. Did all the night stuff. So, I'd start as early as 4 p.m. and then go as late as 7 a.m., depending on how busy it was. And some of the craziest nights out driving were, a Monday night or a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. And you would think, crazy nights of driving would be Friday night, Saturday night, especially in a smaller city as Indianapolis. That is where I'm currently living, Indianapolis, Indiana. And that's where I was driving for Uber. And I believe it was either a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, probably around like 1 a.m., 1 or 2 a.m. I was driving in one of the second more busy areas, Broad Ripple, Indianapolis. Broad Ripple is what I would consider a beer village, or because it's just one bar after another after another after another, and it's a really fun place if you want to get really 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 messed up. And a 7-minute drive down the road, you're at Butler University. So like I said, it was like 1, 2 a.m. and I was driving for Uber, and I picked up 3 gentlemen, and we had to drop one off first and then take the second one to downtown Indianapolis. So that's about a 15-minute drive. And we were only going probably 5-6 minutes down the road. So we headed down College, and then we were going to take a left on 46th Street. I think it was 46th Street. So we take a left on 46th Street. I have one of the passengers in the front and then 2 in the back. The one in the front lives here, and the 2 in the back live, I believe, in South America. So they were visiting their brother, who has lived here for quite a while. And so they were, the brother was basically taking the 2 brothers from South America out to Broad Ripple, to have a good time, which they did. And so we're coming down 46th Street, and there's a little S curve that comes up in the road. And from a distance, I could see that there was a truck blocking my lane in the S curve. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe he's, got a flat tire, or he's doing something. So I approach slowly and get into the oncoming lane and go around the truck. And as we're going around the truck, we see a short, stocky man standing with his phone, and he has his light on, and he's kind of like shining his light. And just past the short, stocky man, we see a smashed white Jetta. And when I say smashed, I mean the front is smashed, the back is smashed, airbags deployed. You could still see the airbag dust in the car. And we drove by really slow. There was a street light shining down, so you could see into the car. And we're looking in the car, and we see no one. There's no one in the car. And all we could think is whoever was in this accident is really hurt, because this car is smashed up. So we kept driving past the accident to go drop the guy off about 5 streets down, or blocks down. And as we're driving down the road, we're like, man, we're all talking about it now, all 4 of us. And we're like, wow, this is a serious accident. And then I realized that we're going to have to come back to 46 and then go back to College to go downtown. So I tell the two guys in the back, I'm like, we'll drop him off and then we'll go ahead back over there to, double check that there's not someone that might need help or, get a different look at the accident. So the three guys get out of the car, say goodbye to their brother. Then two of them get back in the back, and we proceed back to 46th Street. We take a left. We go down. White truck is gone. Short, stocky man, also gone. White Jetta, still there. And that's when we realized that the white Jetta was sitting in the parking lot or driveway of a small, either unused or not very like an old like firehouse. And it's like a little ranch style firehouse with a couple garage doors, and it's just very small and it looks slightly unused. But the Jetta, for as smashed up as it is, from a distance it looks like it's just sitting parked in the driveway, like perfectly, like someone backed it in. So we're rolling up on this white Jetta, and we're in the street, and we get close to it, and that's when I notice this young girl come out from behind the white Jetta and start like walking very strangely over to the car. And I immediately roll the window down, and I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? I was like, you couldn't have been in that car, right? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, do you know who was driving that car? Because whoever was driving it is definitely, in need of some support. And she's like, I need to get home. Can you take me home? And I'm thinking, can I take you home? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, where do you live? And she goes, oh, I just live right down the street, 2 blocks over. And I turn to the two guys in the back seat from South America, and I say, she wants us to take her home. Are we going to do that? And we all looked at each other and we all said, yeah, we're doing this. We're going to help her out. At this point, I didn't know whether, she was in the car, driving, passenger, onlooker. I didn't know anything about what was going on. I assumed that she was the passenger. Actually, wait, my memory is not as clear as I thought it was. One of the guys was in the front seat. One was behind me. That's how it worked. Yeah. So she got in the back right seat. So when I turned around, I was looking straight at her diagonally. And she gets in the back seat, and she has this look on her face. She has this look of like a deer in headlights, constantly, not going away. And I look at her, and first thing I'm thinking is head trauma. So I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm like, were you in that car? And she's like, no, I don't know. And I said, she said, but I need to go home. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to take you home. Don't worry. And so first I started thinking of, stuff that I've heard you should say if someone's been, in an accident or had head trauma. You got to, suss out whether they have a concussion or not. So I said, do you know what year it is? And she said 2016. And I said, okay. I said, who's the current president? And she said, Barack Obama. And I said, okay. Yep. That sounds right. I said, what's your last name? She said her last name very clearly. I said, what's your mom's name? She said that very clearly. I said, what's your dad's name? Very clearly. I said, what's your address? She said that very clearly. And I said, I said, who was driving that car? And she said, I don't know. I said, were you in that car? She said, I don't know. And so I said, okay, she looks shaken. She looks weird, but I don't know if she's had a concussion or not. But it seems like she hadn't. So I said, okay, give me your address. She says 50th and College, the corner of 50th and College. We're on 46th Street. I said, oh, okay, right around the corner. So, so we proceed to start driving towards College, and she is just like thanking us so much. She's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, you guys are the best. I can't thank you enough. And she's just kind of rambling on. And I'm like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. We got to get you home. And so we head down College, and she said, take a left on 50th Street. We take a left, and then she says, no, the other way, which would have meant right. And I'm like, okay, so she got her left and right mixed up. So we do a U-turn, and we go back to College, and we go across College, and we head down 50th Street. And I'm like, okay, where's your house? And she's looking around, and she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, great. She doesn't even know. I said, give me your address. So she gives me the address. It's literally the corner house on College and 50th, which is basically what she said in the beginning, but she couldn't find it by looking. So that was kind of strange. So now I'm thinking, once again, head trauma. So I say to her, I'm like, do you have a roommate or a boyfriend that lives with you, or do you live with your parents? And she's like, no, I live alone. And I'm like, oh, great. And I'm like, do you have a dog? No, I live alone. And all I could think is, this poor girl is going to go in the house, fall asleep, and never wake up. And so I'm like, okay, we need to call your parents. We need someone to come over that can sit with you while you basically, relax or whatever and not fall asleep. So I'm like, can I call your parents? Can I call your best friend? Who am I going to call? And she's like, okay, here's the number. So she gives me a number, and I'm like, who am I calling? And she's like, you're calling my mom. And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. This is going to be interesting. So I put the number into the phone. I call it. It rings until voicemail. And then I hang up. I'm like, I am not going to leave a voicemail. So call back for the second time. It rings and rings and rings and rings and rings. Goes to voicemail. And I'm thinking, crap, am I going to leave a voicemail? I don't know. Just as that's happening, the phone number is calling me. So the mother had called me back. So I switch over, and she's like, who is this? And I said, this is Lucas. I'm an Uber driver. And your daughter's with me, and she's been in an accident, but she's fine. She seems alert. There's no blood. There's no bruising. She doesn't look injured in any way. She's just a little shook up. And I said, she definitely needs someone to be with her right now, because she is not really acting right. And the first thing the mom says is, was she drinking? And I said, might explain some of the way she's acting, but we're not sure. We don't know if she's acting this way because of the accident or because she's been drinking. But whatever it is, we need you. We need you to come over to her place and be with her for, a while, because I just don't want her to go to sleep. And the mom's like, yeah. Okay. No problem. And I said, oh, and another thing, her phone's dead. So you're going to have to just keep calling her phone until she gets it plugged in and it boots up, because we don't want her falling asleep. And the mom's like, yeah, okay, I'll keep calling as I drive. And I'm like, okay, perfect. And then I'm thinking, you know what? I have to ask the question. I need to know. I cannot hang up this phone without knowing the crucial question. So I ask the mother, I say, what kind of car does your daughter drive? And the mom says, she drives a white Jetta. Yeah. I said, okay, that's what I needed to know. And I said, keep calling until you get her on the phone and you don't let her off the phone. I said, get here as quick as you can. And we hung up the phone. Yeah. So I got my answer. And I turn around to the girl as she's getting out of the car. And I look down and I realize she's not even wearing shoes. She's barefoot driving a white Jetta. And the girl goes into her apartment, and me and the two guys from South America, we all look at each other and we're just like, did that really happen? And then I drive them downtown to their hotel. I drop them off. And I every time I have a story, I always sit after in silence. And I realize, like, I have a story now and it needs to be told. All right. So that's my first Uber story. I have many more to come. I'll just have to assess them out and find the ones that are good and, bring them to your guys' ears. So I am still figuring all this out. I'm loving my, my microphone. It is a blue Snowball, not an ad. Maybe someday I'll do an ad for them, but right now, no. Love the plug and play feature. I'm not one of those tech savvy guys. I love tech, but I'm not into all the button pushing and adjustments. I just love a plug and play, and off you go. All right, so that was episode 3, Uber story. I'll talk to you guys in the next podcast, and I do thank you for lending me your ears.